Hi everyone, and this engagement is no coincidence. Plans lined up and scared a polar bear. He panicked and punched one of the Google fancy computers, which in return gave you this recommendation. Now when we got that out of the way, let me explain the rest. The Off is all about travel, and it's three of us, and yes, we all have heavy accents, so just get on with it. Also, we have completely different lives, but when it comes to a new adventure, everything gets left behind and we become one incapable team with a very questionable travel advice. But at least we managed to have some fun along the way, and that's the most important thing, isn't it? Oh yeah, we live in Australia, and since they aren't letting us out, for the time being we travel here and showing you around. Please subscribe, thank you. This time we are inviting you to come with us to Western Australia. As it happened before, we have 5 days and a rental car. No one knows what's gonna happen, not even the polar bear we showed you earlier. Let's go! This journey starts in the airport of Sydney. Travel between states was allowed, however, we had to fill out lots of papers to get some sort of a visa, which is a bit of a weird flex from WA officials, but that's okay, we play by the rules. We are very excited up until the moment when we are told that there is no complimentary meal on a 5-hour flight. It wasn't too bad though, we had 2-minute noodles. The view was spectacular. Our airplane was being swallowed by the clouds, which looked like freshly baked marshmallows. Never mind, finally we touched the surface in the airport of Perth. Like in many Australian cities, there's always an animal welcoming us. Now this one. The next step is to pick up a car we already booked. We are looking for booking details, which always tagged somewhere in between spam messages and messages you wish were spam. Meanwhile, we are keeping our fingers crossed this is it. And it wasn't. Thanks to Barry, we get to where we have a better chance of picking a car. Val telling us that she's really keen to go to a local car exhibition. Val sticked our luggage to the door, anxiety kicks in as soon as we notice super glue in her hands, but it's time to finally hit the throttle. I'm asking Alex to pull out of the driveway. Yep, and make it look dynamic. We planned to go straight to the city, but 2-minute noodle supply in our stomachs didn't last long, so we find ourselves in a burger place. This was very yummy, at least for these two. Don't forget that I'm filming while they eat in slow motion. When burgers were finished, we could finally shift towards the city, where we have a couple of hours to show you around. Here's a disclaimer for you folks. Perth appealed to us so much, so we became hostages of our own tickets back to Sydney. Perth disposed itself in every way. It's a big city, but at the same time you won't spend a fortune on parking here, if any. The city is almost 200 years old, but looks and feels as if it was built yesterday. In a good way, of course, not clinical. So if you haven't got it already, we are going to praise Perth whenever we get a chance. But before we start, my colleagues decided to throw something extravagant in front of the camera. I suggest you simply let them finish and go to a moment when I'm being bossy.
Shall we?
Okay, shall we on 3? Not too loud because we're gonna blow the mics, but sort of loud enough.
So guys, we have arrived in safe and sound. However, we spent 5 hours in flight in aircraft with no food and no entertainment.
There was some entertainment, but you wouldn't remember because you were asleep while I was trying to climb over you to get to the toilet. So
it was entertainment for everyone except you, Alex.
Because I've been snoring, right?
And I was snoring, I was sleeping.
I'm so happy you didn't wake up at that very moment when I was busting my bits and pieces. Anyways, done with that. It seems sort of empty, doesn't it? There's pretty much. How are we?
Hello!
Hey.
How's it going? going?
Actually, Perth is surrounded by the desert on one side, and on the other side, we have the sea. So it's a bit of a, you know, and an Indian Ocean on another side. So it's actually a city in the middle of nowhere.
So in the middle of nothing. That feels
exactly.
like Siberia to me, where I'm from. I was born in the middle of nothing, and it felt amazing.
We had a few hiccups. To come here, we had to fill up the whole application and get a pass, like a
Yeah, we
visa,
did.
Yeah.
to interstate WA, which is like,
Feels like you're applying for a visa when you're going overseas, because we had to fill all the forms and say where we've been living and visiting the other places.
and preference for quarantine.
Exactly. And it was the funniest part, because we were like, where are we going, guys? We're going to quarantine to stay there for 14 days. Unfortunately, we didn't have to, and instead of listening to us waffle for an hour, let's explore the heart of Perth through a camera lens. I think we nailed it even despite windy weather. We're heading to a place where skyscrapers stand tall right next to the waterside, and where colorful tropical plants intertwine with a jungle of stone.
And where Alex invites us, not creepy at all.
After such an epic sequence, we could feel accomplished and take it easy for the rest of the day, but we thought it wasn't enough, and it definitely had some logic to it. Just let me explain. Since we are on the west coast, the sun will set into the ocean. Genius, hey? But we got there a bit late, and for the most part it was covered in clouds. Here's how we ended up in one of the most iconic places in Perth, Cottesloe Beach. Also, if you think you have difficulties understanding our speech, you are not alone. We don't even understand each other. Personally, I feel a very nice vibe here. What?
Nice wife.
Vibe.
Wife.
Vibe, oh.
Vibe.
Wife.
Yeah. Just imagine driving LA or Sydney or London. Everything is crowded. You can't find a car space. You can't find a place to eat. There are crowds and queues everywhere. Here is almost empty. You can park your car for free, by the way. You don't have to pay for the parking. It's just amazing, isn't it?
I feel like we're selling this place, and I also feel we should keep it to ourselves. We should just tell no one about how good it is,
Yeah.
just so we can enjoy it more.
Just skip it now. Just skip it. Don't really listen to what we're
Yeah,
told.
Perth, nah.
Very bad. Absolutely.
Actually, very cold and
Windy and nothing to see. It's just like
People not friendly at all. They just don't even say hi. After we did an unboxing dinner video, Val got cold and discovered Kmart, and it was our first day in Western Australia. We fell asleep in the air, moments before we hit pillows. Early in the morning we were ready for action. Today we are going to spend all day on an island 30 kilometers west from Perth. Ferry sets off at 9 o'clock and we have some time to capture this beautiful city in the morning sun. Good morning everyone, we woke up and yeah, coffee wasn't amazing, so you can tell our face is not perfectly stretched yet.
So we're on the way to the place called Rottnest Island, the place where the Quokkas live. So, well, you know what are the Quokkas?
Of course I know, and I'm so excited that we're going there. That's what the day I've been waiting for, to meet these little cuties and say hello to them. This is an animal I'm so excited to see. It's like a little kangaroo, little wallaby, and but smaller size. And the special thing about them, they're always smiling. They're happy.
But do you know that they're not actually smiling? They're breathing like the dogs. So they're not actually smiling, but it looks like they smile. So, well, we will pretend they're happy to see us.
Are you sure there's nothing in the leaves there?
This is the Rottnest island and it is beautiful. I love it. It has such an amazing white sand and the blue water. It is surrounded by Indian Ocean. In the past, it used to be part of Australia, but the sea level went up and that's how it is now isolated.
Rottnest Island perhaps is the only place in this entire journey where we didn't have to rush anywhere. You can simply stand still and point your camera left and right. Everything you need will pop up spontaneously. Just keep your eyes open. Quokkas were everywhere and they wouldn't stop chewing on things, though the moment then they stop would turn into a power nap. As you can tell, quokkas aren't very picky and just live their lives to the fullest.
We thought this would be the point when Rottnest Island runs out of things to impress us with. How we start to hear indigenous music. We didn't understand much, but liked the party. Val even found herself on the guest list. At least she told that to everyone. After most of the day spent on Rottnest Island, we docked back at Perth, where this amazing city kept growing on us. We went to a place with an old shipwreck to watch the sunset. In doing so, I also prepared a speech. We are in Coogee Beach, I think. No, that's fine. You can pass it through. That's totally fine. We've got no ownership of this land, so we can just pass through. This place is called Coogee Beach. And it's funny because there's one in Sydney called Coogee. They're spelled exactly the same, but they pronounce differently. For someone who thought English isn't complex enough, hey buddy, there's a shipwreck right behind me. It's called Omeo. There used to be a steamship built in the 19th century. It's been here for around 100 years or so in this very situation. It's very famous and known for its rich marine life. Once we were done with that serious piece of journalism, we realized that our overnight arrangement is more than 2 hours drive from where we are now. I think I jumped ahead and didn't explain what is going to happen with this adventure further down the track. So, plan is to make a giant loop around southern side of Western Australia and come back to Perth. Tonight we're heading to Busselton. It's a small town, but not without heritage, around 200 kilometers down south. After realizing that we are going to make it there quite late, we decided to get some food. Otherwise, there's a chance we miss out on dinner. Long story short, we are heading to the south. Tomorrow, we will share our plans for the upcoming day.
Do you need a bag?
Which one are you? Salmon?
Salmon tuna.
Yeah, I'd go salmon too.
No.
What do you mean no?
No, you go ribs.
Yeah, I'll go ribs for sure. And salmon.
Say this nice, tell it in a letter, stamp and mail it out. We did our best, couldn't have done better. I think we should be proud. But you held me down when I was living up. Back and forth but never together. So I'll stand up and walk out and make my way alone for now.
Busselton.
Is it Busselton or Busselton?
Actually, it is Busselton, but the way how they say it, Busselton, you know, the ton is coming from town. So if you go like the suburbs, like Newtown, it's actually, Kensington. Used to be Kensington, but the actual town got transformed to ton. That's why so many suburbs in England, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, they ended up on ton. So Busselton, Kensington, Flemington. So ton is actually a town. Yeah. So we're in Busselton.
I did not expect our morning to start off
Historic.
so historic, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're in Busselton, and this place is not only famous for being just a holiday spot, but also for being a very rich heritage destination. This town used to be the first Western Australian town with a railway, and this railway has been built from this jetty to the forest, and it used to be servicing the timber supply to the port. So basically, this town is the first railway spot in Western Australia. The cool thing about Australia is that those guys know how to carry on their heritage, how to reuse and reshape the things. So they do not ruin, they just rebuild and find the new purpose for the usage. So well done with this. After taking away that bucket list spot, we're ready to go further down south to Hamelin Bay, where we hope to see stingrays. Our way is going through a valley famous for its wineries called Margaret River. This land is very rich in all shades of green. It is hard to believe that only a couple hours drive to the east, color change to bright orange and vegetation turns into sand dunes. We are enjoying empty roads and stop occasionally, just so we don't drive through all this beauty too quick. And of course, we couldn't miss out on wine tasting experience in one of the wineries we were driving past.
Seriously though, why am I always the one doing alcohol section in this show? I mean, I've got only one statement. Please never stop.
You clearly enjoyed it.
Is it visible? Can you hear my soul singing?
Oh, come on, I think it's your tummy. It was a song from your soul?
That was my phone.
Ringtone from your soul.
I've got a phone. I live in 21st century, okay? So I need to communicate with important people. My mom mainly, but who cares? I do.
Right.
We're in a place called Cape Mental in Margaret River. If you like wine, like many of us do, I'm pretty sure you can find a few bottles on a shelf with the wine.
I would say you can find a few shells from Margaret River in your bottle shop.
That sounds legit.
It's one of the biggest wine region in Australia.
Absolutely. And we're having some beautiful Cab Sav in our glasses. Yes, this font. And we are holding the signature taste.
Wine.
It smells so good, so rich.
It's Cabernet Sauvignon.
2016 it is.
That smells amazing.
For those who didn't know, Australia ranked number 4 in the entire world for exporting wine. So it goes after countries like France, Italy and Spain, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, something for you to learn. Cheers.
After tasting some of the finest Margaret River wines, we continue this road trip to Hamelin Bay. We're not even thinking that we have so much luck to actually see stingrays in their natural habitat. We're just hoping it's gonna be a nice looking beach. In this case, the valve will take over and everyone will forget why we came here in the first place. But the story continues, we find ourselves with the best cards possible. Once again, we feel very grateful. came all the way through from Busselton. This is the town where we had amazing sunrise and breakfast. We went down to a place called Margaret River. How
Which
was it?
was amazing. Not only it was looking amazing, it tasted amazing, it smelled nice, and I'm still getting over the experience we had there.
And now we're here at Hamelin Bay. And for me personally, it was the best experience ever because I met stingrays and I got so close to them. I felt like I can touch them, but of course I'm not allowed to touch them. But they're so nice and they're cute and they're coming straight right to you, so close. So they're probably curious also. What creatures are we?
But it is important to say that they are dangerous. So if you will come here anytime soon, don't feed them, don't touch them, and don't try to swim among them.
He's talking about people, but stingrays are actually nice and friendly.
And this is not the place where we stay overnight, because we have another 400 kilometers to
I know
cover.
what we're gonna touch though, the steering wheel.
Exactly, that's what we're going to touch right now, because again we have 400 kilometers to cover, and we are driving now from Hamelin Bay to the place called Denmark.
Yeah.
Denmark, not in Europe island.
Finally.
No, the borders,
okay.
they are still
Still
closed.
exciting.
On the way to Australia and Denmark, we are stopping at the local pub. We're welcomed by a dog and finally have a chance to have a proper meal. This place reminds us a Hollywood blockbuster scene. You know, right before things gonna get messy, but turns into the most lovely place on earth.
Australia and Denmark isn't any less stunning than Denmark in Europe, especially if you've never been to neither. We are stoked to see the sun, even though slightly hiding from us. The day is promising to be nothing short of amazing, even though not without some hiccups, but a bit later on this one. As soon as we finish our instant coffee, we are heading to a local cafe, just so we can have a proper one this time. At the meantime, Val's breakfast shows up, followed by Alex's, and mine slightly toasted bread. Now we are about to witness a place called Elephant Rocks.
Look at this! We're finally at the place called Elephant Rocks. And the reason for this interesting name is the fact that those rocks remind the shape of elephants who came to the water on a beach and they want to swim and play. Actually, the same happens to me now. I'm almost swimming here. So this place is very famous for Western Australia. It's like Red Square for Moscow or Brooklyn Bridge for New York. So if you are coming to Western Australia, to Denmark, not Denmark in Europe, but Denmark here, then this is a no-brainer spot for you to visit and to enjoy. But keep in mind that the weather here is changing very fast because Antarctica is there and it's not too far.
waiting for this, and yes, we stuffed up a little. We changed the plan. So initially we thought we were going to go to the south coast of WA, towards the east, to see the Pink Lake. But we discovered that chances for the lake to be pink at this time of the year are very slim. So what we're doing is we're risking almost 12 to 14 hours of driving to have a slim chance to see the Pink Lake, which is not very reasonable having limited time in WA. So instead we decided to go up north, where there's another lake which is also called Pink Lake, and it has a chance to be pink as well. It's not as big, but I guess the idea is the same. So as long as we get to see the Pink Lake, we're gonna be happy. So change of plan, these things happen. Spontaneous things are the best to make the adventure better than what it was meant to be initially. So I think it's good. We should just keep going and see where we're gonna get. Even though we had to change our plans, we still feel incredibly lucky. Western Australia has so much to offer that all minor hiccups do not change our perception of this region at all. And don't forget that anticipation is also an amazing feeling. In a similar way, we didn't know whether we're going to see stingrays in Hamelin Bay. Conversation goes a long way, and GPS Thinny says we are on the spot, and it becomes obvious that lake has stingrays in it. Nah, just joking, it's pink.
And it is pinkish pink. It's actually more pink than I expected to see.
So we are happy we've changed the plans and we came to Cranbrook instead of going to Esperance and spending the whole day for this, because this lake is very pink. We don't know what happens in Esperance, but we are very happy to see this bright pink color.
Yeah, it's just amazing, superb.
Yeah.
We move a lot in the frame, but that's because of Moses. And we just don't want to die here.
They're
But
actually eating us.
that's just a minor annoyance. But in general, it's amazing. You'll see the pictures, you'll see the footage in the very moment. So the reason why it's pink, if we haven't mentioned yet, it's because it's algae. They're thriving at the moment. They're blooming. The conditions are perfect. It's the right temperature.
Yeah,
And it's dry
hot,
enough.
It's dry enough, yeah. And we have freed up the time for tomorrow's adventure, so we'll go to one more unplanned location, but we think it's going to be gorgeous. So we will tell you about it tomorrow.
It could be the highlight of the trip. Who knows?
Seems like we attract a lot of good choices during this trip. We also attract a lot of Moses, but that's just an entrance fee we have to pay. Slightly swollen, but satisfied, we carried on to the 5th day of our adventure.
And we woke up on the finish line. For the first time in the last 5 days, we decided to sleep in, so no time lapses with rising sun or anything of that kind. Sorry, but it was a very welcome decision, as we have a long day ahead of us. We enjoyed tasty breakfast and have a quick walk at one familiar location, after which we set our sails and went to the north of Perth. The Pinnacles Desert is what we are aiming for. Roads in WA are worth a separate story. Traffic is so rare that we had to check a few times whether we are on the main road still. Reason being, simply not many people live here. Take that and subtract people who work in the mining industry. Most of them work as fly-in, fly-out workers, so you perhaps won't see many of them on the roads. Some people wave at us as we drive past, and it's definitely a nice touch to feel welcomed. Local flora changes every few kilometers we pass, and colors seem to shift towards orange. Alex keeps telling us interesting facts about local vegetation. After a few Wikipedia pages gone airborne, we realize that he prepared for it. Okay, we feel like we should pull over and let the camera roll.
As we go to the desert, we decided to stop and tell you some interesting information about the local plant, which is called black boy or the grass tree. It is a local inhabitant for Western Australia. Are so noisy flies, they just attacking me in my face. So we're telling you about this black boy or the grass tree. It is kind of a very local plant, and it is unique and famous for an ability to store the water inside its stick and survive without the water in a very dry and a very hot climate for years. So if you don't have a water but you still want to have a plant in your garden, this is an option for you.
Nice.
We're gonna dive inside the jelly.
After another piece of knowledge was recorded, the job was done. And since that's the case, Alex could finally relax. What's funny is those two shots are maximum 5 minutes apart.
Since you made it here, I think it is fair to say that you probably like this adventure. In the beginning of this episode, we let it slide and let you just do you. But now, it's finally the time to hit that like and subscribe buttons. As you could probably tell by the numbers count, we are only in the beginning of this so-called YouTube journey, though every single thumb up gets noticed. So thank you for doing so. On the other side, our WA adventure coming to its last destination, and we almost simultaneously suggest to come here again and film another episode, but this time about northern part of WA. We are so pumped, to be honest. Road sign tells us we are at the spot, and we are driving inside the Pinnacles Desert Park. Guess where we ended up?
We are in Pinnacles Desert.
It's a pinnacle of our trip at the same time. So.
And our last destination.
Yeah, it looks amazing, absolutely stunning. Looks out of this place for sure. And again, we're chased by something. Yesterday it was Moses, today it's flies. The size goes up slightly, so we might end up being chased by magpies soon. Who knows, magpies? That's a moment of appreciation here.
Yeah, but it's not about it. We are here and it looks absolutely surreal.
Yeah, look at these stone formations. They super ancient, obviously. They're million years of age. And I guess pictures, they just tell themselves. We don't have to be very talkative about it.
The most important thing that it's only 2 hours drive from Perth, which is so
cool.
close.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of desert it is?
It's an approachable desert. How about that?
Exactly.
It's the one you can visit. So, WA, if you had some doubts whether to go or not, it's a no-brainer. Come see. Or actually, don't come, don't see, leave it to us, don't ruin it. Stay home.
Stay safe.
Let's quickly correct this too before it gets out of control, and at least at the end of this film make it somewhat useful. So, these pointy things formed here from the times when the ocean level was much higher. During thousands of years, marine life formed different stone-like structures. 25-30,000 years ago, water level dropped. The ocean floor got exposed, and wind during the course of centuries simply blew away everything but those more solid formations, which look like spikes today. This place has very unusual atmosphere. We couldn't help thinking about eternity here. While saying goodbye to the sun, we realized that this is the end of that once seemed endless stream of impression here, in a beautiful place called Western Australia.
Place where blue ocean meets bright orange sand dunes, where colorful oases full of wildlife are in a constant state of war with the scorching sun. Locals call Australia a sunburnt country, and this is no understatement. WA doesn't have as many seasons as, let's say, Europe, or at least it's not that easy to tell them apart, but you can always change colors around you by just driving a couple hours one way or the other. This is a place you should definitely come see and touch it with your own hands. We don't recommend you touching those pinnacles though. They're old and might just fall apart, so just look, no touching. We are going back to Perth, where early in the morning we are flying to Sydney. On the way back we tried to dance, sing and even show card tricks to get a few coins for the next episode, but instead ended up with a few police charges. Who could possibly think that someone on the plane might not like us reaching out to a bag and saying, "This next trick will blow you away." So if you have better ideas, please let us know in the comments. Thank you for being with us and hope to see you soon again. Bye!